Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Solomon Nizam Shams, and welcome to Solomon's Temple, where we get to interrogate and commentate on every different issues, around our faith, how we can grow stronger, and how we can get to be better, to know God and to make Him known. That's the whole point. There's no point knowing God without making Him known, right? And that is very, very important. And that's what we're really all about here. So I hope you're doing well. Please make sure you use the comment section. Let us know where you're watching from, and also give us your input. We don't have to agree, but go ahead, give us your input. Okay. So also, I want to encourage you, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is Solomon's Temple. Click subscription right now. And again, click next notification button, just so when I come on, you're going to be aware that I am here, or when I post any video. Thank you. Nicholas Bongani, great to have you here. To all the Bereans, I want to welcome each and every one of you. Taivo, gaisuwa dan uwa, barka da warka haya haka. Speaking some Hausa there, saying hi all the way from the UK. Toivi, thank you so much. Appreciate your input. So, talking about the UK, you are in the UK, Toivi, and I want to talk about another Nigerian who is in the UK, Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo. He's a pastor, senior pastor of Kingsway International Christian Center, KICC. I believe the church has been in existence for over 30 years. Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo went to the UK as a missionary with Foursquare Gospel Church. But whilst he was there, obviously, things didn't work out. So he parted ways with Kingsway International, with Foursquare Gospel, and he started Kingsway International Christian Center. At one point, it was the biggest Pentecostal church in the UK. Not just Pentecostal church, I think the biggest church in the whole of Europe, before another Nigerian pastor, that is Dr. Sunday Adelaja, came up with his own church in Kiev, in the Ukraine, where they have some war going on right now. So Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo has been, a big, well-known across Africa, well-known across Nigeria, and KICC has a couple of branches across Africa, especially here in South Africa also. There is. And he's done quite a lot. He's written books. He's staged big conferences like the International Gathering of Champions. He has spoken on very diverse issues that were relevant. He has met leaders. He has been a leader in so many different ways. Well, he turned 70 today. Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo, was it today or yesterday actually? No, today. Turned 70. So he is 70 years of age. He's lived a long life, right? And this is what he posted today on his Facebook page. He said, in life, there is always so much to be grateful for. As I reflect on my life from my birth exactly 70 years ago today, and on 50 years of working with God, I'm filled with awe at God's goodness. His grace has indeed abounded to me. Join me in thanking God for all He has done. I am immensely grateful and give Him all the glory. So, he's 70 today. He's been working with the Lord for 50 years. So, obviously, he got saved when he was 20. And you also have to remember that Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo comes from a Muslim background. And actually, whenever I meet him, I'm familiar with him, by the way. Whenever we meet, we speak Hausa. That's what we speak. We speak Hausa. Because he speaks Hausa very well, fluently. He grew up partially in the north. I remember his story always. His dad was a military man. He grew up a lot in Kaduna and northern Nigeria. I lived in London for a little bit. And whilst I was living in London, I occasionally attended Kingsway International Christian Center, where Pastor Matthew was. That was where I got familiar with him. I got to know him. And I got to serve at the church. And I got to attend, help them out. I was doing some sort of a bit of intern there. I wasn't really a church member, but I attended a lot of their meetings, which was good, you know. And for somebody who has done quite a lot, and at 70, obviously, is going to be a time of reflection and looking at where he's come from. He's come from a long way. This is Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo in his early days in the UK. And you can see he still had his punk, his haircut, a stylish one, still very much young. Yeah, so he's come a long way. But when you get to 70, 80, people begin to have conversations around what you would be remembered for. And I think Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo was one of the first that actually led and encouraged and inspired a lot of other pastors and churches into doing things differently. Conferences or into writing. His teachings were very practical, very, very practical with principles. He wasn't the dramatic deliverance type. No, he was a thinker, straight up thinker. And I mean, I know there's a lot of you guys that disagree with Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo. I also disagree with him a couple of times. I've interviewed him a couple of times. But you have to look at what you disagree with, but there is a lot that you can also agree with. And I can tell you for sure that there's a lot that I agree with. And then there are things that I disagree with, especially in the last 10, 15 years. It seems like this changed where there's just been a lot of emphasis on money, success, planting a seed, a $1,000 seed. You remember that video in Abuja? So God can give you money. It's just about money, money, money. It became, for me, all about, if you want money, you have to give money to God. And who are you giving money to? The money to? You're giving money to the church, you're giving money to the pastor. And for me, that's not my understanding and my take on it. My understanding and take, God blesses you. You don't have to give money to get money. So those are some of my hesitations, as we celebrate 70 years of Matthew Ashimolowo. And importantly, secondly, is his alliance with Pastor Biodun Fatoyimbo, the pastor of Commonwealth of Zion Assembly, COZA, in Abuja, Nigeria. Now, for me, this is a very unholy relationship. Pastor Matthew had been a man of integrity, but his alliances actually put the question marks on his integrity. But Pastor Biodun Fatoyimbo was accused by not just one woman, not just two women, not just three women, of sexually harassing them, of abusing them. Members of his church, people he grew up with. He came out, tried to defend himself, and tried to use the police and the courts to silence some of the victims, which is sad. I wonder what Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo told him. Because until this day, the first time Pastor Biodun was accused, he said no, he was going to give and explain his side of the story. He was accused by this girl who was a member of the church, and then she moved to the UK, and he went to the UK to visit, and he solicited sex from her. They actually had it. She came out to say it. So now, how can you have an alliance with somebody like this? You're 70 today. You have a lot of knowledge. You've seen it all. And Pastor Biodun, I think he's in his 40s. We need leaders like Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo to come out and say things without fear or favor. to come out and criticize leaders that are refusing to change, pastors, prophets that are refusing to change, that keep doing things that they're not supposed to. They keep abusing the church, they keep abusing the members, they keep abusing finances. They need to come out and say so. We need more and more pastors that will come out and say so. The Bible says open rebuke is important. But we're not seeing that from people like Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo and his contemporaries who are in their 70s or 80s. We need to see more of that, because that's another way to sanitize the church and its leadership that is in a big problem right now in Africa and Nigeria in particular. This alliance between the two of them, to be honest with you, doesn't cut out for me. It's disappointing and it's sort of like disgraceful. But you know that these younger pastors, when they invite people like Matthew Ashimolowo, they give them a lot of money, $70,000, $100,000. And finally, his alliance also with Alf Lukau, Pastor Alf Lukau, who for me, that man is not a pastor. He's a businessman running the church. He's a charlatan. But at the top of Alf Lukau's mismanaged miracle of resurrection, when the claim of so-called Elliot taken to church in an ambulance and in a coffin on his way to be buried, and Alf now got him up and out of the coffin. About that period, Matthew Ashimolowo was invited. He went to the church to speak. Does Matthew Ashimolowo follows money instead of following pulpits and altars that have integrity? Because these guys would offer you £100,000, $100,000 to come to their church. That's a lot of money. But if you have integrity, you will turn that down and say, no, 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 no. Who is this man? What is out there in the public about them? Investigate these allegations. Just a phone calls. You have contacts in the media, you have contacts in the government, you have contacts in the church. It's easy for you to get all this information. But we don't see that. So for me, Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo has become all about money and more money and more money and more money. Sadly, that's a legacy that I will remember him for, in as much as there are other things that he has done that we all know. But at the twilight of your life, you would not want to get yourself involved in this new dispensation of immoral prophets and pastors and charlatans who all they do is to raise money. All they're seeking for is to seek for alliances with other credible and long-serving pastors like yourself. It's a sad thing. Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo started very well. If you hear his salvation story, how he was part of Foursquare Gospel in the UK, very well. And most of them start well. But when it becomes about money, 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 I mean, at 70, what you think he's still thinking about money, money, money? Okay, I understand you want to leave money for your family, right? But how about your integrity? How about where you're going to eternity? It's so sad, to see that. Samir said, hi, Uncle Solomon. Most leaders started well, but they didn't end well. Indeed. Mama J, Pastor Ashimolowo is all about money, 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 deceiving members up and down. Satan is devouring these people, says Christine. Rue here says a tight champion. Simple. Anyway, just wanted to share that with you guys. And know that, and ask yourself, what sort of legacy do you want to leave? Do you want to follow this kind of leaders, or you want to look for other leaders who have some sort of credibility and refuse to bow down to money? Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Shalom.